Today we're going to be doing something dangerous. We're working with molten lead. It's over 600 degrees Fahrenheit when it's in its workable state. That means we need to have safety equipment. If you're going to be doing this at home, you need to have things like leather shoes, a leather apron, leather gloves, eye protection. All these things are very important to this sort of a project. And instead of using lead, I recommend something like a lead-free pewter. It's going to give you a very, very similar end product, but you don't have to worry about the poisonous lead. Anybody going into the frontier, whether you're an explorer or you're someone who's trading on the frontier or a settler that's building up a homestead, one of the essential pieces of equipment is a gun. You cannot bring enough food with you. So you had to have a means of procuring food on the frontier. Hunting was one of those very, very necessary parts. You had to have a gun, and a gun is useless without the gunpowder and without the ammunition, without the lead balls that you would shoot out of that gun. You could bring a certain amount with you, certainly, but there were times when you would run out, you would need more. Frontier trading posts would stock bar lead so that you could make your own bullets out in the frontier. You didn't need very much equipment for that. You needed obviously the lead, and you need a bullet mold that would cast a bullet the size that your gun would need. You could possibly buy the lead balls at the trading post, but there were so many different varieties so that you could never guarantee that that's what you were going to find in the trading post. So it really was a necessary thing for you to have not only the gun, but a bullet mold to make bullets. So today we're going to be casting some balls with our bullet molds here, just the way they would have done it on the frontier. To cast our lead balls, we have to get to 620 degrees, actually a little bit more than that. So we've got a little cast iron pot for our lead here, and it can be tricky. It's possible to get to that 620 degrees or so at a campfire setting, but it's not easy. Here at the forge, it's going to be a lot easier because we got control of the heat. There are times in a camp situation where you might not have a large or even a small little pot like this to melt lead, and if you had a ladle, even a smaller ladle than this, you could do a very small quantity at a time. So you could actually heat the lead right there in the ladle. In this case though, we should be able to get this melted in this little cast iron pot. We're above 620 degrees. Everything has melted, and we have a little dross on the top. That is impurities. We have melted scrap lead in this case, so definitely we got some impurities. We're going to push those off to the side. We've got the ladle already sitting in the lead to bring that up to heat, because if we use it cold, the lead will just solidify in it. We don't want that. And I've even got my mold here by the fire heating up because everything has to kind of be to temperature. If we try to pour the hot lead into the cold mold, then bad things will happen. It'll just make a misshapen ball. Let's give this a quick try. We'll give kind of a one first shot here. There's not much of a funnel on this mold. There we go. That looks like it's solidified pretty well. I'm going to set this one off to the side. It's nice to be able to pour right over the pot so that the lead doesn't go everywhere, because it's going to miss your mold definitely. Although with a little tiny mold like this, your hands are going to get kind of hot. We'll give it a try anyway. Get a nice little piece of there. Now when you have an over pour like that, it's going to cause me difficulty getting the mold open, but we'll fight that when we have to. And we're going to try our mold out of the soapstone. And this one I can't hold, so I'll just have to be very gentle. Casting like this can be tricky. The weather is part of what makes this work. I don't know exactly what it is. you have a rainy day and you can't cast anything. So getting nice looking castings can be difficult depending on, you know, the weather, the humidity. If it doesn't work one day, you try it the next, and then all of a sudden it's easy to do. When everything's working, you cast everything you can because that day it's working. Once these are out of the mold, we're going to trim them off. We're going to hope that they're as symmetrical as possible. So we're going to be very careful about that. But these are very handmade molds. They're not going to make perfect ammunition. These molds would come sometimes with the rifle. So if you had a very nice rifle made, the rifle would come with a mold that was specifically designed for that gun. Other times, you know, inexpensive guns, we're going to be using a kind of a generic mold, and we can expect that the balls are not going to be very close to the perfect ammunition for a particular gun. That's all right. You know, we've got a lot of patching we can put in there. We can get around ammunition that isn't perfect. So it might look like there's a lot of kind of excess, a lot of scrap. We have all this extra lead that doesn't go in and make the ball, but turns out to be the sprue and the part that's on the top of the mold. None of that is waste. This all gets cut off, so we cut the sprue off of the ball as close as we can, and then that just gets melted right back down. So we take all those sprues, we put them together back into our ladle, and then slowly put them back into the molten lead. We don't want to just drop those in because it splashes hot lead all over the place and can burn you. This is a real dangerous thing to do because we've got 600-degree molten metal, and we don't want to get that on ourselves. So we're always very careful about how we do that, wearing shoes while we do the project. And again, when we're putting lead into molten lead, we do that very gently by putting it into the ladle. A few months ago, I made this mold, and today was the day I got a chance to try it out finally. And you know, they're pretty symmetrical. They might work. There's only one way to find out though. I'm gonna get Brandon and Ryan out here, and we're gonna load them up and see if we can hit a target.